Thus far, we saw that we register mixins in the components where we want to use them with the mixins array here. Of course, you could add multiple mixins there. That is also important to know. Now let's say you get one mixin you want to use on every single instance in your app. And this is really important to understand. A global mixin is added to every instance and thus every component too in your application. Hence, you rarely want to use that. Most of the time, that is what the official Vue.js docs recommend. You want to use this if you create third-party plugins for Vue.js and not in your production application. Nonetheless, to show you how it would work. You can register a global mixin by typing vue mixin. Now that will allow you to configure some code which is mixed into every single instance. Therefore, we here pass the object, which is our mixin. And let's say I again add something to the created hook. So now again, I manage or I adjust my created hook here in a mixin, now in the global mixin. Here I want to say global mixin created hook so that we can see where this is coming from. If I now save this, I don't need to add it to any array because again, it is already added to all instances. If I clear this and reload, we see that the global mixin gets executed here. Then we have created, then the global mixin again, and then created an inside list created hook. Now, why do we have global mixin 3 times when we only have the app.vue file and the list.vue file here? Well, because we also have the main.js file, and here we have a new Vue instance too. So we get the created hook executed in the new Vue instance. That is this first call. Then let's have a look. We get the render function where we render the app file. So this is the second time we call the created hook. Then we call created because the app.vue file also has the fruit mixin, which adds the created hook here. And then we reach the third time that we call the global mixin created hook because now we also add the list component. This is the last thing we add in our application. And there we have the fruit mixin added, which is called first. Then the local created method here, which says inside list created hook. This is last. And then we're done. So this is this life cycle. Global mixin called first. Then mixins added with the mixins array called next. And then code directly written into the instance is handled lastly, so that it always has the last word, as described before. This is how you can add such a global mixin. Again, use this with caution. It really affects everything. This is why you typically use it for developing plugins, where you don't really have a complete app with many components and instances, but a contained piece of business logic which you then ship to other apps, where your global mixin is contained to your business logic. But to be aware of how to use it, this is how you would use it. Typically though, you use a local mixin with the mixins array and then the import where the mixin is outsourced in a separate file, for example.